It is October 15th, 2025, and we're back for a second round today as we have breaking news on two very important topics that I want to be sure to cover. The first of which are the increasing tensions surrounding Venezuela. As we have heard, Trump is making it very clear that he is pushing for regime change in Venezuela. You've got a new report out from the New York Times specifically stating that the Trump administration has authorized covert CIA action in Venezuela. You also have reports of US B-52 bombers in the Caribbean. So we're going to take a look at what is being said there. And then on top of that, as if that's not enough for one day, you also have Trump confirming that the US is in a trade war with China right now. This comes days after he has previously threatened to put 100% tariffs on China starting next month. So we're going to take a look at some of the latest tensions there. Before we do, just a quick note. If you find value in my work and you want to support it, you can sign up as a paid subscriber over on my pages on Patreon or Substack. You can also send me a one-time donation on Buy Me a Coffee. I'll leave all of the links in the description box below. And now let's get into the latest. And let's start with this report from the New York Times, which cites anonymous officials who say that the Trump administration has secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela, stepping up a campaign against President Nicolas Maduro. They say the authorization is the latest step in the Trump administration's intensifying pressure campaign against Venezuela, that for weeks the U.S. military has been targeting boats off the Venezuelan coast, it says, are transporting drugs, killing 27 people. American officials have been clear privately that the end goal is to drive Maduro from power. The report goes on to say that the CIA now has the authority to carry out lethal operations both in Venezuela and in surrounding areas. That should make everyone concerned about what the U.S. is preparing for the Maduro government. Now, this is, of course, not Trump's first rodeo and not his first time going after Nicolas Maduro. We saw an attempt to remove him from power during Trump's first term. We even saw the Trump administration at the time recognize opposition leader Juan Guaido as the rightful president of Venezuela. Clearly didn't work out too well now that Juan Guaido, I believe, is living in Miami. But now you're seeing the Trump administration in round two really turn up the pressure targeting this country. Yet another reminder that this is not about the diplomatic will of the Venezuelan people. They've been through election after election. They have voted for Maduro to stay in power, and the U.S. just is not happy with that. It's no coincidence, I would say, that another key opposition figure, Maria Corina Machado, recently won the Nobel Peace Prize, right? She has long had ties with the National Endowment for Democracy, even shaking hands with George W. Bush back in 2005. She is the establishment figure that the U.S. wants to put into power. But in order to get her to that point, they have to get rid of Maduro. And I am extremely concerned about the ways in which they are preparing to try to do just that. Because we have to remember that the fact that the Trump administration has taken this approach this time around of claiming that, oh, Maduro is at the head of these alleged drug cartels, they are alleging that he is a terrorist, that he is fair game in this so-called war on terror that certainly hasn't worked here in the US. So apparently now we're outsourcing it to the coast of Venezuela. But this goes back to recent reports that we've seen, which literally laid it out. They said that the Trump administration is preparing for a strike on Venezuela, a strike to target Maduro, and they think that it will be justified within the MAGA movement because Trump has taken this route of claiming that he's going after the drug lords and that Maduro is one of them. And now you also have reports that massive US B-52H Strato-fortress bombers have been spotted flying sorties over the southern Caribbean, hovering near Venezuelan airspace in a clear demonstration of military might. 3 aircraft were observed on extended flight patterns from Louisiana's Barksdale Air Force Base in in a striking show of force at Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. In response, you also have Maduro on Wednesday ordering military exercises in the country's biggest shanty towns after U.S. forces blew up another boat allegedly carrying drugs from the Caribbean country. Trump claimed that 6 narco-terrorists were killed in the strike on the vessel near Venezuela, bringing the number of people killed in such attacks since early September to at least 27. Just let that sink in for a second. 27 people have been killed by the U.S. outside of Venezuela. Not a single one of them had any kind of trial, right? There were no charges against them, just this allegation that they were involved in drug smuggling, just building the case for the Trump administration. They don't need any actual evidence. They just need to claim that they've killed 27 so-called narco-terrorists and that is enough for them to continue targeting the Maduro government. But it doesn't seem to be enough for the Trump administration to just focus on Venezuela or Iran or Russia or Gaza. No, now they also have to focus on China. And Trump was specifically asked by a reporter moments ago at a White House press conference about the situation with China, and this is what he had to say.
President, you're meeting with President Xi in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If you can't come to an agreement or a deal at that meeting, are we in for a sustained trade war with China?
Well, you're in one now. Look, we have 100% tariff. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be exposed as being a nothing. We would have no defense.
We're in a trade war now, he says. This comes just days, of course, after he threatened to increase tariffs on imports coming from China up to 100% starting next month. It seems as though Trump is back to increasing tensions with China once again after you had Beijing put export controls on their rare earth minerals, and rightfully so. I mean, the US is putting curbs on the technology and the high-end semiconductors that it doesn't want Beijing to have access to. So why should China sit around and give the US all of the rare earth minerals that it wants, especially when they're being used for the weapons that are being pointed at China? None of it makes sense if you look at it from the logical aspect, but as I've said time and time again, the US does not seem to need logic here. You do also have US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Wednesday insisting that Washington did not want to escalate a trade conflict with China, stressing that President Trump is ready to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea later this month. Bessent told the CNBC event that officials from both countries were in touch daily to set up the meeting, and Washington did not want to decouple from the second largest economy in the world. Yeah, and I guess we can believe all of that when we see evidence of it, because it seems as though the Trump administration is right back to this approach of good cop, bad cop, right? You've got Scott Bessent here saying, hey, we want to talk. Trump wants to meet with Xi. And then you have Trump as the bad cop acting like, oh, he's going to raise tariffs to 100%, saying that we're already in a trade war. All of this inflammatory rhetoric pointed at China, sending a very important message to Beijing that Trump did not learn his lesson the first time around. And speaking of not learning his lesson the first time around, that seems to perfectly apply to U.S. policy on Venezuela. We are watching Trump ramp up the tensions with both Venezuela and China in particular. And when it comes to Venezuela, we have to remember that the U.S. Congress has not declared any sort of war on Venezuela, right? This is Trump acting as a dictator, once again, doing what he wants to do, raising tensions at a very alarming rate and making it look as though he is setting the stage to try to force a regime change in Venezuela against Nicolas Maduro, and giving the CIA the authority to carry out covert lethal operations in Venezuela. That tells us that the U.S. is ready for war and that they are going to do whatever they think they have to do to try to get Maduro out of office, to use this blueprint time and time again. And it's not just going to be about the lethal action that is carried out on the ground. It's going to be about the media, the propaganda. We have to remember that anytime the CIA gets involved, they have so many different avenues that they use to try to convince the public that what they are doing is right and that what they are doing is a grassroots effort. So as we continue to watch those tensions build, that's something everyone should be talking about. If anything in this video resonated with you, be sure to like it, share it with your friends, leave a comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to keep up with all of my work, make sure that you're subscribed to my page on Substack. That's rachelblevins.substack.com. That's where you'll find ad-free videos and new weekly episodes of my exclusive series for paid subscribers called Sanctioned. You can also check out Sanctioned over on my page on Patreon. That's patreon.com/rachelblevins. As always, thank you all so much for all of your support, and I'll see you next time.